What I'm about to say is going to upset some people. If you have ever been married or even thought about it, you've probably wondered, how could a husband or wife who once vowed to love, to honor, to cherish, to stay faithful suddenly betrayed that promise? The typical answer you hear is, it just happened. They were bored or they were tempted. But let me be honest, or let me be brutally honest with you. That's not the truth. Adultery doesn't start in the bedroom. It starts in the heart. It starts with a conversation long before the act ever takes place. And if we really want to understand this, we have to go back to what God Himself says about marriage. Hebrews chapter 13 and verse 4, it declares, marriage is to be honored by all, and the marriage bed kept pure. Marriage isn't a contractual agreement. It's a covenant relationship between you, your spouse, and God. You know, in Genesis chapter 2 and verse 24, it reminds us, a man shall leave his father and mother and unite to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. When a spouse stepped out, it's not only a breach of trust with their partner. It is a breach of covenant with God Himself. But here is the good news. A covenant can be restored when hearts turn back to God. Now let's break down the 6 core reasons couples stepped out of marriage. Number 1, weak character and broken values. You know, in Proverbs chapter 25, verse 28, it tells us this: like a city whose walls are broken through, so is a person who lacks self. For many, adultery, it doesn't begin with the act. No, it starts with a little crack, a flirtatious comment at work, a late night message online, or even entertaining thoughts that should not have been happening. And you didn't shut it down. You should have shut it down. You see, if your character isn't guarded and your value aren't firm, guess what, my friend? Those small cracks eventually become wide open doors. Number 2, shallow or broken relationship with God. You know, John chapter 15 and verse 5, it says, apart from me, you can do nothing. That's God. Jesus saying that I am the vine and my Father is the husbandman, and without me, you can do nothing. And here's the truth. When you drift away from prayer, from worship, and time in God's word, your heart becomes exposed. Temptation feels stronger. Conviction feels weaker, and accountability disappears. And before you know it, my friend, unhealthy desires start to grow in the cracks left behind. Let's talk about number 3, forgetting the covenant of marriage. In Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 4 and 5, it reminds us to keep the vows you have made before God. And here's the thing, my friend, marriage was never meant to be driven by feelings that comes and go. Your feelings are not reliable. It was designed as a covenant, a sacred commitment that you choose to honor even when it's not easy. That's commitment. That's what love looks like. You see, when couples lose sight of that covenant and they start to treat it like an option instead of a vow, instead of a sacred union, they naturally begin searching for comfort and fulfillment elsewhere, when they need to look for it right where they can find it in their marriage, in God. Now, before we move on, if this message is speaking to you, if you're fighting for your marriage, for healing from betrayal, my wife and I, Joan and I, want to walk with you. And that's why we create the Marriage Makeover Coaching Program, to help couples rebuild trust, restore connection, and put God first again in your marriage. I want you to click the link in the description. Help is waiting for you. Number 4, loss of respect for each other. You know, in Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 33, it says, let the wife respect her husband and let the husband love his wife. Here's what I have noticed, my wife and I. You see, when respect starts to fade, walls go up. Words that used to build now cut. Criticism replaced kindness. And once that cycle sets in, outside attention starts to look more appealing and desirable than the person you vowed to love. Respect is like a guardrail. Take it away, and suddenly your marriage is wide open to temptation. Number 5, compromised moral standards. Romans chapter 12 and verse 2, it warns us, do not conform to the pattern of this world. And yet, look around you. Our culture normalizes cheating, casual flirting, and even porn. Little by little, couples start to lower their standard just to fit in, because you now look like the strange one, because you want to be holy, you want to be faithful, you want to stay committed. But here's the problem. The moment you compromise those values, the boundaries that once guard your marriage bed begins to crumble. And that's where problem starts to happen. Number 6, neglect of biblical love and servanthood. In 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 4 through 7, it paints a picture of real love. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is not self-seeking. Love does not keep score. It keeps no record of what's wrong. But here's what happens. When couples stop serving one another, stop listening, they stop forgiving, the unmet needs don't just disappear. They stock up. And stocked resentment always look for a way out, often in the wrong places. Love isn't just a feeling. It's a daily choice, a daily decision to serve your spouse even when it is not easy. If you have walked through betrayal, I need you to hear me clearly. I understand where you're at. I know it's hard, but you are not beyond redemption. Neither is your marriage. So here's what I want you to start doing today. Recommit to spending quality time with God daily. And also as a couple, you need to work together. Be honest about unmet needs and create new boundaries together. Don't wait for another crisis before seeking wise counsel. Get support, wise, biblical, spiritual counsel. I've seen marriages that look finished, absolutely shattered by adultery, come back stronger and better than ever before. Why? Because they choose forgiveness and accountability, and they grow over bitterness. And so, my friend, you might feel hopeless right now, but remember, God specializes in restoring what's been broken. You have to believe that. You know, in Joel chapter 2 and verse 25, it reminds us that I will restore the years that the locust has eaten. I've watched husbands and wives who were once enemies becomes best of friends again through God's grace. And if you want that transformation, don't give up hope. Trust God and take the next step, and watch how God is going to use the information and your application to create transformation that you've always been looking for. May God continue to bless you, and I cannot wait to see you in the next one.